Welcome everyone to this session. Today, indeed, as introduced, I'm going to focus on designing and altering for mobile. To set expectations right, when you walk away and you think about like, hey, after this one I'm able to design completely for mobile, I need to disappoint you. Because it's not a workshop, it's more talking from me, what our experience was the last year, what we learned from it, what our considerations are, and also which challenges we still see using the app. So that's a little bit to set expectations right. So what are the topics now what I'm going to talk about today? You see it over here on the screen. So what is now mobile learning? Why does mobile matter in our consideration? And also, we always talk internally about like, hey, our courses are mobile enabled. What is it now exactly, mobile enabled? What does it mean? And also like when you have your courses mobile enabled, what are then all the difference that you're going to see between using it on the web, using it in the app, what do you think about and what do you run into? That will result in some design considerations. What do you think about when designing a course in general for Open edX? Then I will end up with some next steps, like what next steps that we are taking, next steps that we are considering, but also like that we're going to ask the community, but also specifically the developers of the app, like what do we still want? Because they did already a great job on it, but still, there are many more wishes. So mobile learning. Why does mobile learning matter? First of all, we asked the questions, but it's like, yeah, great. We can design everything for mobile. But is there a mobile target audience? So I had some nice help from our data analytics team with the export from edX.org. For the data packages, they did a deep dive in there and looked at the event data and checked what were the interactions from mobile with our MOOCs in 2023 and 2024. These were the results. We always heard, 5, if you're lucky, to 10% of your learners interact with your course on mobile. Surprise, it is not the case. It's a little bit higher. You see, 16% only interacts using mobile with the course. And 10.5% uses a combination of it. So it's quite surprisingly. It was way higher than we expected. So that also results for us in saying like, wait a second, mobile learner matters from the point of our customer. We really need to think about designing our courses for that audience if they interact with that. Now, by the way, there's also uncategorized, because in the data we also have that classified in there and we didn't know yet what to do with it. So it's like, I hope next time if I present something about this, that one is gone and then we know what to do with it. So it's like, so the next step is then like, okay, we have everyone using a mobile device, but then we also know like that is 26.5% of the total learner amount that uses a mobile device in a way. We then say like, oh, well, wait a second, of that group is more than 60% that only uses a mobile. Huge audience. And also like, what do we consider mobile? Now we have two categories in there, only using the mobile app, but also interacting with our courses using a mobile browser. That last category is like using a mobile browser is basically the same as using it on your laptop. The design differs a little bit, but not that much. Basically, you can use all the same elements that you're known with. For this one, with the device and also the lessons learned, we focus on the one in the app. And what are now the benefits of learning on mobile? It is more accessible, but also more flexible toward the learners. And for us, and as an institution, it's also like we can reach a new target audience. Because Most of you already know that. If you remember, you were last year at the OpenX conference. We had a brilliant keynote speaker, a professor from South Africa. I'm not going to repeat this in his own words, but it's like, but the main thing that he said, like, learners in the continent of Africa using the majority a mobile device. They don't have access to a laptop. It's too expensive for them. And also, like, their mobile carrier is way more powerful than all the Wi-Fi over the entire country. So we need to keep that in consideration if we want to reach a new target audience and bring content to people who need it. And in that sense, the app can be a very powerful tool. I also built in some interactive elements. It's not only for you to sit and relax, and I also want you to answer some questions. So you can either use vvox.app in your browser or scan the code and enter the session ID. Now, we just go analog. Keep my telephone open, maybe it starts working. Okay. The first option, yes, I only use my mobile device. How many hands? Okay. Yeah. Second one, combination of desktop and mobile. Yeah, that's more. Then the last group, never. Yeah.
Okay, I guess then maybe I was no.
Okay, then it's like, when you did this once, like when you used your mobile device, what did you use? Because like, did you use either the mobile app, the mobile browser, or a combination of both? Mobile app? Yeah. Mobile browser? Or either a combination? Yeah, that's still both, yeah. So you see, it's like, for yourself as a user, you already have the different experience. Like, you either didn't use it because like you already know with the web, or you thought like, you know about the app, I'm using it. Or maybe you tried it back in the day with the old app and you thought like, this is not what I expected from it. I never looked at it again. It's also sometimes what I hear from people, that's the case. But you'll see like it's a mixed audience. We hope after today that it will shift a little bit. And in our own department, we said like, okay, we have our courses mobile enabled. Now, what does it now mean? We marked our courses in Studio, all of them as mobile enabled. That means that they're visible in the app. I need to admit, did we ever look at it like how to design those courses for mobile? No. We designed it for web, and we just, as an additional feature, we made it available because we knew with the old app it was perfect to watch a video on the go and to interact with the discussion board. And then we said like, it's a nice addition to web. That shifted with the new app. Because with the new app, it's more and more gets a separate entrance for your learners to enter your course. So that means we need to start designing for the app. But with also keeping in mind that we have some limitation considerations in there. That components that don't work in the app, sometimes even don't display at all, or others, then you get the notification, go to your browser, or an advice is given. And we need to test our courses to keep those things in mind. If we don't do that, then design will fail. And I will mention it, not all tools are supported. Then we dive into like, okay, tools, problems and limitations. What are the navigation differences? The assessment components, what we need to look at, and also like our discussion board, because it changes also a little bit. Now, you see over here, left and right, same course. It's like not really the course because it's a landing page. The landing page in both web and in the app. All the next slides are based on one course. That's the Sustainable Packaging MOOC and Circular Economy. That one is already design and consideration taken into account. So if you want to have a look, you can look later on in that one, in the app, and also in the browser. Now, see the different landing pages. To be honest, both is clear. Good experience. It's like last course you interacted with is in the app, even on top, and you see already like things what you need to do. So even I have to say, if I look from a learner perspective, the app is even more clear to me as a potential learner than the web version at the moment. Because like last interactive course, visible, I know what to need to do, immediately can go and start a learning or even continue learning journey. But now if you go a level deeper, so if you then go into the course, then you see the difference popping up. Really like left browser again, right the edX app. Then you see indeed like your outline is more or less similar. Like still see your basic structure of having your sections, subsections in there popping up clearly. Now, the only thing like what you're now going to notice is like on the top we have our custom pages. That's also something we learned from it, like that is not visible in the app at all. Progress page, not there. Not visible. If you build custom pages, like what we do, for example, for a syllabus, not visible. So those are things like if you have that over there as an important element for them where information is there that they need to interact with, learners on mobile will miss that content. So that's something that you need to keep in mind. Another one is, for example, if you use the PDF or the textbook component, it's also in the top page, won't be there. A different naming convention, that's for us to know, learners won't notice it. Updates are called in the browser like that, but in the app it's announcements. Small difference, good to know. Because if you refer to like, hey, I'm sending out an update, then mobile users will say, update, what are you talking about? Something that we also noticed, like in the app, all subsections got an icon. Only they all have the same icon. So it's like, yeah. From a user perspective, I'm looking at it like, yeah, what does the icon mean? What do I need to consider in that one? So that's not really clear to me at the moment. So maybe later on one of the developers can answer it. But if you then navigate as a learner through the course, it goes also a little bit different. Because normally, like you have in the app, in the web, you have a little bit more interaction possibilities. In the app, it is always based on previous, next, and finish. To be honest, very clear. But it also means, like from the instructional design perspective, you need to be considering like what you mentioned, how people navigate. Because sometimes we said like, oh, click here or click there. But if you have your course for mobile, that doesn't always work. And also a part that we saw like in web, if you go back into the course, it's always clear where you are at. But since you're here always landing into one component, it is also good to give a banner that people exactly know where they are, especially when they start a new unit. Because sometimes we see that people still love to make a unit out of 10 to 20 components. Please don't do that. That gets too long for learners. And especially when you go into the app, that means that they have 10 to 20 pages that they need to go through, because each component is a new page. Then we go to videos and downloads. I have to say, to watch the videos, to interact with them, works brilliant. As a learner, you see the video, you can click on play, you still can click on the subtitles to go to a specific part of the video. Works beautiful. The only thing we developed our own download widget. It is an iframe component. That one doesn't work. So we need to come up with a solution that we make sure that that one is also visible in the app, either via hyperlinks or some other solution. We're not there yet, but we're working on that part. What is also very good in the app, of like here you see other languages for the subtitles. It is very clearly visible. You can click on it, change to other languages if you have the AI tool switched on to for other languages. Then we go one level further, assessment components. So it's like we already have different columns, like what is mobile ready, what is not mobile ready yet. So if you see to the left column, all these ones are available on mobile. You can interact with them as a learner, works good, all the options are available. These ones are not available yet. The question is also, should all of these be available on mobile? Because also like, I'm not going to go through all of them, but like think about this one, circuit schematic builder. Also, I'm really asking myself the question, how many in the community are using that one? I would be curious to see data on that one, to be honest. But it's also the interaction in the web is already difficult. With your trackpad on your computer, if you need to build a circuit over there with all the components, and if you then ask a mobile learner in the app to do that, it's a good way to get them frustrated and stop the course. If you do a couple of these in there, they're gone. Because the interaction on a small screen is not that nice. Also other things like what you need to interact with your fingers on a screen, like for example, image mapped input, drag and drop. Then at that moment, you need to so consider that your image is good enough in resolution, but also your draggable area is big enough that you in your mobile phone can drop it. For example, we have a course in aerospace engineering. They need to drop the correct names of airplane components on the airplane. Great. Perfect assignment. For web, always do it. On mobile, if you think about how big an airplane is, if you see that on your mobile device in that size, and then the draggable areas get like, no, even smaller than my pink, then at that moment, it is so impossible to drag and drop it on the correct area. One, in my opinion, what should be available on mobile is the peer instruction tool. Because that one, I can tell you, if we use it, not too much, because also like it costs learners time to interact with it, but that tool, yeah, that should, in my opinion, be available. Also, like these are recommendations that we give our course teams, but also like what we put out there in general. If you have assessment types in your course at the moment that are not supported mobile, mention that to learners so that they know that they need to switch. And also, like this is a recommendation that I copied from edX. They recommend, or to use, like they recommend that you do all graded assignments in the browser. Personal opinion, all of these can also be graded assignments. They work really well on the app. I would say, if possible, take also graded assignments in the app. And here I said it, avoid drag and drop problems or design them very well. Now, one thing like to show you like how it looks like if you do a problem in the app, each individual component I mentioned before is a page. So that means also like all the problems is on their own page. So you basically navigate through them by clicking every time on next. Mentioned before, there are course teams also in our university that think it is good to have all the problems that they designed in one component. You already can think about learner interaction is a disaster because they need to give all the answers before they can submit. And the other one is if you have put 10 problems in one component and you have it then in the app on a page. I never tried it, but I think it's going to look like a disaster in there. To my surprise, auras seem to work more or less in the app at first glance. Until we did a little bit of a deeper dive, we found out on Apple devices, apparently that's why you pay more for Apple devices, you can upload files. On Android, unfortunately, it didn't work. And what also found out, if you have only a text box, then in landscape mode, the editor is visible. In portrait, unfortunately, it isn't. So there are some nitty-gritty details in there like that when an aura is not always like working ideally. Something that's like a couple of years ago, I gave a presentation about it. You also have like a workshop, Team Aura. Very powerful tool. We used it in a couple of courses, only that is a type, if you use that heavily, only make your course available on web. Because the team functionality is totally not available in the app. Then we go to a nice one, discussion board. I have to say, sorry for the developers, but in the old app, the discussion board was easier to access, to be honest. It is like the general look and feel of the discussion board is on the web and in the app is exactly the same now. So it's like you can click on the top part on discussion, you enter there, it's based on subsection, section, subsection, the naming and the navigation. Really is consistent. The only thing is we now on the web, we are so used to having like our units, you can enable on the unit the discussion, it will appear on the right side in a separate pane. Perfect. On the app, it's not the case. So if you go to it, even if you're at the unit at that moment where the discussion is taking place, learners will not see it. So that's something as a lesson we learned. We said also like, okay, if that happens, what should we consider? What should we do? And then we said, okay, we need to make clear that we have discussions available for this unit, mention them how they're called, and also like how they need to navigate over there. But we're also used to like on web to say like, okay, you can click on the right, you open up the panel, you can interact with the discussion board. And if you do that one, you say go there, click there, in the app it's not the same. So that's why we more go general, like okay, it can be available. Earlier on we already introduced like where you can find the discussion panel and then you can have a more generic instruction for them that works on both platforms. For images, we know they will scale to the platform, not a problem, but it's also like you see already here on the right side, it gets small. Like I have my contact lenses in, but I can still not able to read the text that is there. That is something also like we design the images for web and on the mobile it's not readable. So these are things that we need to say like either we need to change the design of the images to make sure that everything is visible, or one other thing what we can do is like we have this one, but then making the high resolution image behind it that people can click on it and it will open full screen on their mobile phone and they also can zoom in and can zoom out. So there are different ways that you can think about it. And also, this is something that a lot of course teams always forget. Go more or less to the correct dimensions when you upload an image to files and uploads. Because I have seen graphs, So with the scatter plot, for example, that was uploaded in a high resolution image that you could fill up the entire wall over here behind me. And then it needed to be visible in 400 by 400. I can tell you a lot of data points were gone because it renders it and then pixels are missing. And if you go smaller, that means also, like, especially with the scatter plot, data entry points are gone. This part, because I focus so much on the learner perspective, but also we also have the course team perspective. Moderation. Why shouldn't we be able to do that on mobile? Because this is the part that's not supported yet. This is what's supported. But for a moderation, you really want to be able to do this as well. And it's also, like mentioned before, for learners, it's very nice and easy to go on the go learning. But for a moderator, we lose in our institution a lot of student assistants for it. They also can do that on the go. Because if we ask the learner, or we give the learner the opportunity to watch a video, to interact with discussion or the course content on the go, why shouldn't our moderators be able to do that? If they have half an hour in the train while they are on the way to the university or somewhere else, like, oh, can I answer some questions? Or at the moment, it's not that far yet, so we give the recommendation, don't do the moderation through the app. Then also, like, if you look at like some other tools and components, I've given a couple of examples of external tools that we embed through LTI. So we use Vocarium, maybe some of you know that, but it's a platform where you can do programming assignments in there. Graphspol, that's a specific tool that we have at the university for mathematical questions and exam settings. SketchDrive, that's a tool we use for visual images for people to upload. That's all LTI integrations. That at the moment is not supported in the app. With other components, so think about iframes, it depends a little bit like what you want to display. Some of them is like works perfect, it shows correctly, other ones don't. So always like check that one, make sure that the content that you want to have there is designed for mobile use. And I mentioned before, this is not Microsoft Teams, this is the Teams functionality in edX. That doesn't work yet in the app. And this is a part that I already mentioned before about that, oh no, I didn't mention that one, sorry yet. We need to clarify if we have tools that are not for mobile, that they need to be able to go to the browser, that they have access to a desktop, to a mobile, to a laptop, and that they can do the submissions over there. Some design recommendation, but it's also like not only design, but also advice for instructions. So this is something that we give to all our course teams, that they embed this one in the course, that really considerations are like, what is available, what is not available, and where can I find it? I'm not going to read everything out loud because you can read it on the slide. And for the mobile instructions for discussion, we always said, like I said before, we add the discussion title, and also, like as an example, I've shown it here, what we really add. And this is the example how it looks like in the app. Some design tips, it's like, it looks like, if you write it down, I thought like, yeah, should I mention it? But it's like, we still see it happening so much. People say click on a mobile device, you don't click. So then you get from quite still learners that you ask like, where do I need to click? No, it's like you need to select. So basically these are like things, yeah, I'm really like sorry that I need to confess that, but if you don't do that, you get more questions in like of people like not knowing what to do. And also avoid spatial references. So many things happen like click below, or look below, look to the right, look above. It's like there's so many things that we are so common with writing down, but like if you use both web and the app, that doesn't work anymore. These ones, nowadays the component display name is not used anymore for the navigation purposes. That's like, but still, we advise everyone always like to make sure that they replace the default ones, give a good descriptive name, and differentiate it from the unit title. So it's like that still, it's good for screen readers, but also if you name the components the same name as the units, then later on, like it's sometimes not that easy to find data back. That's also an important one, especially with question types. And also this one, build courses for your target audience. So if you know that you have a topic that the majority of the learners are coming from countries that they are most of the time only using mobile devices, then focus on designing for mobile. But if you have, for example, for a learning objective, I'm now giving a course on a programming language, and they need to interact with Python notebooks, and you have a specific platform for that one, for Karim in this case, for example. On a mobile, that's very difficult to interact with that system because it doesn't scale. It's scaled, but not good enough for mobile. At that moment, it's better to tell them like, sorry, already in the about page, if you want to enroll for this course, you need to make sure that you have a laptop that you can interact with this course in the proper way. And that's also like the second part, keep in mind specific problem types when designing. Not only like, is it available for mobile, but also does it work? That's the next session, but I'm not going to check my mobile again. Nope, that system failed. When you now have heard the story, what I said like about the different elements what you need to consider, should now all courses be mobile friendly? Yes? Or would you say like only certain courses? Or you say like, no, I'm never going to do that. I'm glad that I don't see hands with the last one. And then it's also the part like you also have current courses that you're running. Would you change your design at that moment to make it mobile friendly? Who would change the design? Or would you say you only do that if all the tools are available that you want to use? Or you would never change the design? We're getting there. This one, then I'm also like asking if somebody can make notes then. Which components would you want to have available on mobile right now? Or also like, I can also do it like, I have a couple of more slides. Keep this question in mind, and then with the questions, you can tell them. The next steps. What we are going to do ourselves as an institution, we make the testing of the mobile experience a part of our beta testing. So it's really like crucial elements going to be in there, or is already in there. We're going to review all the courses for mobile experience in a quality process to see like, okay, which one do we need to change? And we also add it to our accessibility guidelines, and we prioritize the conversion of MOOCs, into mobile friendly based on data. So we are at the moment busy with an evaluation of all our data to see which courses have the highest amount of mobile learners in there, and they are prioritized to be completely redesigned for mobile. But questions, we have still questions. We still are thinking about like, should we always make those courses more 100% mobile friendly? I can say not always. That's something already we can answer. But it also depends like how the development of the app is going to continue, what becomes available. Those are still more elements that we consider. And also the part of the question is like, should we promote it to learners? That we tell them like, hey, this course is available and designed for mobile. That one, we have like some discussion internally in our team. Should we do it or not? And the conclusion was that we are going to do it for a couple of courses that we really redesigned for mobile. That we also want to see like, okay, what is the impact that we're going to have? Do we see differences in like for courses that we don't do that? Couple of suggestions that we already had for improvement. Add the moderation options to the mobile app. Also like have a preview option from edX Studio how it will look like in the app. So that now you have preview, but that you have like a viewpoint that you can say, now you can see for example, I want to see it as a verified learner, audit learner, but you also say like, I want to see it as a mobile learner. The progress should be available in the app. Now you only see like the amount of questions that you have done and you still need to do. So you also want to see what your grading is in those elements. And also the custom pages should be visible in the app. This is a consideration. I added this in the morning after a nice conversation yesterday. Also, like there was an interesting talk I had. And it triggered me is like, we maybe even should think about like, we have a component that's perfect works on web. Then we can say we need to replace for everyone something is available on mobile, or should we also say at a certain moment, do we need to have a functionality in there that we say, this is like visible on web and that's visible on the app? Because then you can make tailor-made solutions for both target audiences. And in my opinion, that was the conclusion after the talk yesterday. I would go for that one. Not always, but like there are quite some cases that you say that is the way to go. So I would say, if there are questions, you can ask questions. And also like, if you have apps or tools that you say that need to be available in the app, please mention them.
All right, thank you so much. All right, I do ask that if you have questions, you wait until you get this, so it's on the recording. I'm not going to actually throw it, apparently. People have had issues with that.
Hi, you provided some very interesting insights at the beginning that 1 out of 4 people use the edX from mobile. Yep. Do we know approximately how many use the app, how many use the browser?
Yes, I can go back to the slide.
Yeah, just.
Like this is the total amount of learners that we had. Yeah. So it's like that's 345, more than 345,000. And so that we know like only mobiles, then 16% of that one. So yeah.
No, total number. Out of those who use mobile, yep. Some of them may use the app, and yep. Some of them may use directly a browser. Yeah, but like that 25%. If we add mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's here. Like we use the event data for that one. It's from the data package, and the event data only registers like if it's coming from iOS, Android. Okay. And but that means it's like from the edX app, and it's like we don't know what the mobile browser is, because like if people like on iOS use the Chrome or other browsers, yeah.
Okay,
That's something we don't know yet. That's the next step if we want to do a deeper dive in the data to see really like, okay, can we split upon that one and also make more conclusions based on the data? Also like what's learning success, but also where they exactly come from. Can we deviate in, are they app from a directly app or which browser are they using? So it's like we want to do more things.
Great. Thank you, Udo. That was a great talk and very provocative. And thank you for reminding me about the mobile app, because honestly, it's one of these things that's sort of like an afterthought. I think from like when I think about course design, what I struggle with is, I think ultimately it really needs to be like, what is the optimal learner experience? So like if there's some complicated lab or something, to your point, that's very hard to see on the phone, like I would absolutely not advocate for that to be, on like have learners take that on the mobile. But what I do think is important is to create as many pathways for our learners to get through courses as possible. So like, I guess what I would advocate for is creating more transparency in the course as to which aspects of the course are mobile friendly. So like, hey, I'm commuting, I can download this video and, and watch it or listen to it while I'm sitting there, versus components that are really not mobile friendly. Like we recommend this, be done on a desktop. So, it's not so much a question, it's just kind of more of a comment and an approach. So like, I think, learner transparency would be super helpful, and that could be something to be thought about in future design.
Yep,
So.
I agree.
Okay.
Hey.
One more question.
Excellent talk. And I would say in general, we should be designing for all scenarios, small web, big web. So I think definitely your last point about the two versions, about the web and a mobile, I definitely think that we should bake in some sort of fallback. So if you have a drag and drop, the fallback on a mobile device is a different problem type. So maybe that's an X block that could be developed. Same with the actual images. We could use the picture element, maybe build that into an X block as well, because then you can kind of decide if it's on a different viewport, you would get a different size image for different art direction and things like that. So there's some development that can be done for that very easily for, regular web development work. So, but I agree, we should support the mobile as much as possible, especially if you have 25% of your audience going there. So I think we should just take sort of the best practices that we do for regular web design, apply it here as well. So excellent concerns.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much. This is a wonderful talk. And I think we've got the coffee break coming up right about now, unless anybody has one last question. All right, well, thanks, everybody.
This isn't really a question, it's a plug for Vladimir and I are actually working on the mobile app actively. And so this was really, really helpful. And it sounds like a lot of people have thoughts that could really help push the app forward. So we're speaking tomorrow, but we also have a first competitor session later this afternoon.
After the coffee break?
Yeah.
Please, everyone join us if you're interested in mobile, or you can share your insights, what's stopping from adopting mobile application. Let's discuss it to understand, because some features that were mentioned in the presentation, like cool things, like some other issues currently in developing, with Spain, working on them. So we want to localize other pain points that belong from adopting the mobile application, and we'll be happy to discuss it and understand how we can improve it.
Yeah, and just a fun thing, if you can't make any of those, love it if you could find us and share your contact information, because what we really want to do is build kind of a year-long conversation as opposed to localized to this event here. But yeah, sorry for stupid.
And also like one thing, like I had like on Tuesday morning, I had a nice conversation with Ed, because he asked me the question, it's like, why are is Delft not using the mobile app yet for their own OpenEdX platforms. And I can tell you, because he asked what's the threshold, it's just like, it's money. Because even MIT, if you ask Peter Pinch, he will give the same answer. It's like, you need to hire an iOS and Android developer to put those things in the App Store. And if you see the amount of time it takes, it's not that much to keep somebody in the payroll for the entire year. So that's basically, we can't do that. And everyone is running into the same issue. So basically what the conclusion of that conversation was, that I said like, oh, if you can get, like, he's going to ask Raccoon Gang if that's possible. If they can make a service option that they can deploy for everyone, like if they want to, the app in the app stores in Android and iOS, and then they can customize the theming and in there to make it available, then we can have more people to an affordable fee be able to use in the app. Because I can say it's like, it's not that I want to advocate, it's like, based on like all the testing we did with the case study, is like we were really super pleasantly surprised with the current state of the app. That's like, and we see it really as Delft as an additional step forward to also like reach people that only interact with courses on mobile. So, also, big thanks to the developers of creating this version. So they also deserve an applause for that one, by the way.